Well, 5 minutes gone past the hour of 9 o'clock. Good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, to you wherever you are. It's a wonderful, glorious Thursday. And indeed, we say thanks for being part of this morning's conversation. Welcome to another edition of To The Point for today, the 12th of October. Indeed, it's a pleasure being here with you. I'm Joseph Cadore. We say thanks for being part of this conversation. You want to welcome those of you that's on GBN's radio, that's Classic, 105.5 and 105.9 television, Channel 7, Channel 11, and Channel 20 if you're in cable. And a wonderful good morning to those of you that's chiming in via Facebook and our YouTube channel this Thursday. And first, let me apologize for the absence of the representative from the Royal Grenada Police Force. They may join us later, but I did say to you, the conversation today so touches and surrounded the abuse of our seniors. And with me in studio is Chikarl Courtney, and he is representing the desk of the elderly. The possibilities that we may have a representative from the Royal Grenada Police Force that they will join us a bit later. Now, when we look at the term, the abuse, and to the Chikarl, that's what the conversation is going to touch and surround. And all of this conversation comes in the heels of the fact that October, besides it being Child's Month, we also celebrate month of the elderly, and it's just interesting that as you celebrate the children, you celebrate the seniors. You can't have one without the other. But let's dive headfirst into the conversation, and let's talk about the desk of the elderly. What do you do there?
Okay, so good morning and thank you for having me. The Desk of the Elderly is a unit within the Ministry of Social Development, which is responsible for providing interventions for older persons in the state of Grenada. So the desk is staffed with social workers who respond to any reported cases of abuse. We also observe centenarians in Grenada. So whenever there is a centenarian, we will go out and do a presentation to them on the 100th year and every year after. We are also responsible for doing assessments of the geriatric homes in the state, as well as working along with the geriatric caregivers program to make sure that ensure that the persons are receiving the best services possible.
How many centenarians do we have though?
At the moment, as far as we know, our records state 22, but I think there may be more that are out there, and from time to time we always ask that persons reach out to us and let us know so that we can recognize them for that great achievement. Well,
you must say that we still have a few folks out there that's batting well.
Yes.
In fact, they are indeed batting well. Well, is there a prevalence for the desk of the elderly? What are some of the daily challenges that you face with it, and the more prevalent challenges that is?
Facing older persons, one of the main challenges we see is neglect and abandonment of older persons. There are also housing challenges for older persons as well. And what we realize is that and it was magnified during and after and during COVID and now is that we do not have that community spirit anymore. So what we're seeing is that family members, friends, community members, we are not looking after older persons, and a lot of people place the onus on the ministry and government to provide services and to provide for older persons when they themselves can assist. So two hands can clap, you understand. But a lot of the times, family members, children, friends, they neglect older persons, and they rely on the government through the Ministry of Social Development to provide services, which traditionally children and close relatives and friends would provide.
And to put this conversation into context, what age does the ministry prescribe as being elderly?
So 60 years and over.
So 60 and
yes.
over.
Yes.
Right. You said neglect. Neglect. Define it for me. What exactly is happening to these senior citizens, or are not being done to them?
Okay. So, well, neglect is a form of abuse. There are about 6 forms of abuse. I don't know if you want me to just go through them.
We'll go through. So we
So we want to stick on neglect.
Yeah.
Right. So neglect is a form of abuse when the needs of an older person is not met by the person responsible for their care. Right. And it includes ignoring their physical, emotional, and the social needs. For example, withholding food, medication, the access to healthcare. Yeah. So this, in a nutshell, is what neglect is.
Which is the you want to go just so go through the list quickly and then tell me which is the most prevalent one.
So we have physical abuse, we have emotional / psychological abuse, we have sexual abuse, neglect that I spoke about, we have abandonment, and we have financial abuse. Neglect seems to be the most prevalent one as a result of COVID. Or should I say as a result of COVID? During the COVID period, we have seen an increase in neglect, as I stated earlier, as well as financial abuse. Seems to be rearing its ugly head.
Financial abuse, what does that encompass?
So, so the definition I have here is occurs when money or belongings of an older person is misused or stolen, right? So the forging of checks, the taking of retirement or social security benefits, withholding of access to money or financial information. You have as well using credit cards and bank accounts without their permission, and it also includes, for example, changing the name on a will or a bank account, life insurance policy, or even the title of property. Yeah.
You get a lot of cases of that. I mean, you had to be really desperate to try to literally see the need to take advantage of a senior citizen in that way.
Well, it's a crime of opportunity, I would say. So it's there, and what we see is that a lot of older persons during that period of their life would suffer from memory loss, isolation as well. So they're easy prey for someone who intends to, commit such an act.
And a senior citizen, an elderly person, their needs are no different from toddler, maturing at whatever age of the life cycle. They have needs just the same. And persons will deliberately, you talked about the emotional abuse. And then I guess, what would that focus on? Yelling, shouting at them, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it involves using hurtful words, yelling, using threatening language, as well as repeatedly ignoring that person. Yeah.
And I guess all of these things happen in most cases in the confines of the homes itself, with families, or do you find that's more prevalent in, let's say, the homes?
Well, it occurs anywhere older persons exist, and elder abuse is most times and oftentimes perpetrated by persons who they trust and who they are familiar with. So it will happen in their personal homes as well as in the community, and in residential geriatric homes as well.
I think the whole issue, conversations surrounding abuse, it stems from first it has to be that you have to win that person's trust. And what's some of the things that people would do based on your experience, cases that you have investigated?
So, for example, I spoke about financial abuse. So you know that through our ministry, the government provides a safety net through the SEED program. So, for example, an older person who is, let's say, at home bedridden would depend on someone to go to collect those funds on a monthly basis. So we have seen, for example, if the person is receiving $300, the person who is collecting may give them $200 and keep $100 for themselves.
Right.
And we have seen cases where the older person actually believes that the assistance they are getting is $200 because that's what they get every month, and not knowing that it's $300. So that's one example. We also see issues of, as I stated, in terms of financial, again, property, changing of information without the consent of the older person, forging of signatures, etc. So this is an example of the financial abuse that I spoke about. In terms of physical abuse, one of the prevalent ones that we're seeing, especially with older persons who have memory loss issues, so like, for example, dementia, and they may tend to wander. You may have family members or caregivers locking them in a room, restraining them to a chair or a bed. This is a form of physical abuse. Yeah.
Where do you draw the line, though? Where do you draw the line? Because I can easily hear somebody told in the argument, well, I'm forced to do this because, and they would then start to outline a number of reasons why they're doing it. Well, when I leave them here, they wander off, they may harm themselves. So where do you draw the line?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation having to care for an older person who is unable to care for themselves, and it's amplified by dementia and memory loss. So, for example, you may be a single child with a parent who is exhibiting those symptoms, and you have to go to work. And maybe you're unable to have someone at home during the day, and you may resort to maybe locking the person inside, or tying them to the bed. But we oftentimes advocate for against doing such things, and asking that they try as best as possible to come up with some other method of ensuring the safety of the older person.
I mean, I think tying anybody to a bed is cruel. Tying anybody at any age is cruel. Yeah. I mean, while you may see the need to restrain them, but tying them down, and I guess it's not just about keeping them secure, but it's a fashion in which it's been done, and it's not justified. It isn't justified.
Yeah, so we oftentimes, when we see those situations, while we may understand the challenges that are faced, which we try to encourage and look for alternative methods of securing that older person while the family members are not there.
In a case where that person's probably been physically abused, they've been restrained with beyond measure, I guess you have staff that's trained to look for certain telltale signs?
Yes. So we have signs of elder abuse, and for instance, you would go in and the person may be a jovial person that you're accustomed, seeing them out in the veranda, engaging with people who are passing, and that person may be withdrawn all of a sudden. Or they may become agitated or act violent. This is a sign of abuse. The person may display signs of trauma, so which could include maybe the person is rocking continuously, is a sign of abuse as well. They may have unexplained pressure marks or bruises or cuts or scars. We just spoke about restraints, so you may see the wrist, the bruises on the wrist. They may develop what we call preventable conditions, such as pressure sores, or what we call bed sores locally.
Right.
That indicates that a person has been left on a bed unattended for an extended period of time. They may exist or may be living in hazardous or unsafe or unclean living conditions. They may look unkept, so unwashed hair, dirty clothing, dirty surroundings, poor dental hygiene, stuff like that. And they may even lack personal items that are required in terms of glasses, a walker, hearing aid, And we spoke about financial abuse. A sign of financial abuse may be a sudden or unexpected financial loss, or unpaid bills, despite that person having the financial means to provide for that. So these are some of the signs that you can look for and observe that elder abuse is taking place.
Are there policies that's in place to address and protect our seniors?
Right, so there was a policy on aging that was developed in 2009, somewhere about there. In 2022, we started a review of that policy through the assistance of the Pan American Health Organization and through local consultant Dr. Wendy Crawford. So that policy was reviewed and proposals made. That policy is now being brought to Cabinet for approval. We also have the National Standards for the Operation of Geriatric Homes, which is a document that is used to ensure that geriatric homes provide the care based on best care practices. That policy is also being reviewed and awaiting approval. So these two documents is our hope. Once these documents are approved, can lead to legislation for the care and protection of older people, which we do not have at the moment. But we that's where we're heading.
We're heading in that direction. 20 minutes gone past the hour in the morning time. In case you're just joining us, my guest this morning is Chikarl Courtney, and representing the desk of the elderly. And today's conversation touches on surrounding abuse of our seniors, and it comes on the heels of the fact that we are in. It's the month of the elderly.
Yes.
We'll take a break though. But when we come back, we're certainly going to look at some of the activities for the desk in observance of the month. We'll open up the telephone lines and we'll continue the conversation right here on Classic and GBN Television. Right here on To the Point.
For a limited time, the NLA has dropped all of the 2X balls from the multi-X draw. This means that you, our valuable players, have greater chances of multiplying your winnings up to 5 times more in our 2X drop promotion. Yay! And that's not all. As an additional bonus, there will be fewer free play or FP balls to draw from too. Now you have more reasons to add multi-X to your playway bets. So, value your dreams, win your way, and multiply your winnings up to 5 times more in the NLA's 2X Dropped promotion. Promo runs until Friday, 20th October, 2023. Must be 18 years or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
Introducing the NIS Dream Loan, where possibilities are boundless and your aspirations are our priority. No matter where life takes you, NIS Dream Loans are here to make your dreams a reality. From purchasing your first plot of land or dream property to renovating spaces, building your home, and seamlessly switching mortgages, we cater to every step of your journey. And here's what sets us apart. We offer easy financing options with competitive interest rates, quick approval processes, and flexible repayment terms. So why wait? Apply now and let our dedicated NIS team guide you through this exciting journey. Visit nisgrenada.org/dream loan or call 440-3309 to book an appointment. Terms and conditions apply. Your dream awaits.
Your life is yours, your future's in your hands. Your body is yours, that's why you need a plan. You gotta plan your family, avoid HIV, get the education from the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association.
We offer STI screening, gender-based violence counseling, prenatal and postnatal checks, injectables, condoms, pap smears, and other sexual reproductive services. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Pointe Street, St. George's. Whether male or female, it doesn't matter. We're here to make your life better.
Grenada Planned Parenthood Association.
For appointments, call 440-3341.
Thank you. Welcome back to the program. 25 minutes gone past the hour of 9 o'clock in the morning time. My guest this morning, representative from the desk of the elderly, Chikarl Courtney, and we're dealing among a number of things, the abuse of elders, of our seniors. We go to the telephone line. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
While I while I have regard for the matter of abuse, one of the things that we're missing is the respect for senior citizens. At one time, I remember some banks used to give special service to the senior citizen. It no longer exists, and that's very bad, very, very bad. I'm a member of a bank, and for the past years, I must say 25 years, You go in there and senior citizens are not even considered. I mean, it's very bad, and I hope that should take place. Even when you go on buses or whatever transport, senior citizens are not given any sort of privilege. The young people pass and they push you aside as if, well, you don't need to exist. You have lived your life and you should die, or whatever the case is. That is very serious. And I hope the banks are listening and the other institutions, that when senior citizens come into the place of business, they should be given certain priority. I don't care what happened. They should be given priority because they have contributed to the society in many ways, and now is the time that they deserve to be respected in most ways. And that, I think, is very important. The abuse is all right. I know people abuse senior citizens in all forms. But the respect they deserve should be given to them, and especially in the society with businesses and other institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Chikarl, your thoughts?
I respect is lacking for older people generally. But what we have seen is that in countries where respect is given to older persons are revered, are the countries where history is an important aspect of their existence. That seems to be lacking here because older persons are the repositories of our history.
Right.
They provide that oral, information for us. We don't have much of that here, unfortunately. I'm hoping that we can get back to a time when we, older persons were able to impart and to pass on information to the younger generation, and that would bring back respect to older persons.
I think Japan, China,
yes,
Eastern countries, they are really, they are the epitome, true reflection of what is it referred to, treating your senior citizens with respect, understanding the contributions that they play. But I'm assuming that the policy that's in place, will they help to guide that? Where you make, just as you make your policies that guide persons that are physically challenged, the policies that are in place will help to guide that. That says, listen, banks, financial institutions, the public. You go to once you're in a public space. I think what the policies speak towards that.
Yes. So the policy speaks to every facet of existence for older persons.
Right.
So it speaks to transportation. It speaks to the building code. So, for example, the policy would mandate that any building for public access must be equipped with wheelchair access.
Right.
For example, it would also speak to how older persons are treated in terms of transportation and all the different aspects, sport and healthcare. All of that is covered in the policy.
I think what is needed is, and I say the policy will help guide that, and I think other government policies been put in place that allows for, whether it's through transportation, that sort of things, it would help at least. But it's unfortunate though that you would have, and you see it now, that, and I guess it speaks to the breakdown of the homes itself. But we're young people. I mean, years ago you go somewhere, a senior citizen comes in, as you said, you would get up.
Yes.
And not just a senior citizen, even about women.
Yes.
You're in church, and a woman comes in, you would offer them your seat. But unfortunately, that seems to be something of the past. Yeah. We've lost that caller. 435-2041, that's the number on the inside. Let's talk about training, geriatric care, because you did talk what the ministry is responsible for, that supervisory role in making sure that these homes, these centers, they meet a designated standard. What guides that? What sort of training is made available?
Right, so the revised national standards for the operation of geriatric homes is now requesting that caregivers are trained in geriatric facilities, as well as those who provide services in private homes. So that will require them to be able to be trained, as well as it will be a requirement for that facility to function, to receive a license. So far, I know that the NTA, I think, is providing a course, as well as NULO. but we're hoping that maybe even Tam City and some of the other learning institutions can provide training in geriatric care so that we can have more persons certified.
But how much of a role does the ministry play, even in that training process, the selection process? Does the training just involve, well, I'm looking for a job, I want to be a geriatric care individual, and they just let you in? Or do they evaluate you, backgrounds, and all? How extensive is it?
Well, they should. I can't speak to the individual homes. We have 12 of them. Most of them are privately run. Therefore, that's why we're pushing to have this national standard become legislation. So it will require and mandate that you fulfill certain requirements to function. And this is one of them.
We go to the telephone lines. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you.
Very good program this morning. I would like the authorities, like the people that are doing the home visit to the elderly, have a day after the workers and them gone, you go and you have a chat with some of the elderly people. Because some of them treat them so bad and they threaten them. So they're scared to speak out of the abuse they get in, right? So if you have a talk behind the back, let them know that it's confidence. They could talk to you about anything, and something like that that will help the workers to treat them better. And the next thing, when you see you send people to see about the elderly people in the home, sometimes the same home have family members, but the workers going to see about them. That does break the moral of doing what they have to do. They always feel, well, this person have children and things like that, although they get in the pay. Most of them workers, they will borrow the old people money and then give them back. That is a form of abuse. I poor and a home and have much to come to do a work for me. I have no right to ask me to borrow the money. And when you look around in this country, over the years, you could see the demonstration of family members that they don't love the elderly people, some of them. Because if you check how much money that the government put out to send people in the homes, especially family members, they're in the home to take care of your grandmother, your mother, you could see it's a demonstration that they don't love the elderly people in the country. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, caller. 435-2041. There's definitely a need for a cultural shift. Would you agree?
Yes. Well, there's a breakdown of the family. Traditionally, we existed with an extended family setup, and that is now moving. We have moved away from that by and large, and we have single-headed families. So it's now, while not making excuses, it's very difficult at times for a single person in a house, a single-headed family member, to have to go to work as well as provide care for children and for the older person. So during that whole dynamic, there are times where there may be lapses, maybe in terms of judgment, and at times people downright abuse elderly persons, make a decision to do it. But moving away from that extended family setting have created a lot of problems, social problems for us, and this is one of them.
435-2041. That's the number that's on the inside. We go back to the telephone lines. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Calling on behalf of the elderly. Why is it? I want to know why is it that when elderly people go to a private doctor and they go to get the prescription filled in the government dispensary, that they tell you they don't fill prescription from private doctors for the elderly. We paying our tax up to now, we owe and we still have to pay tax on VAT and whatever. So we're still doing our share. We are citizens of the state. But when we go to get our prescription filled, we are told that they're not filling prescriptions for people who go to private doctor.
Caller, have you ever inquired from them why that is the case?
Why is it so?
Have you ever asked?
Yes.
And what's the response you
They
received?
said that this is the policy, that if you go to a private doctor as a senior citizen, they don't fill your prescription in the government dispensary.
Okay, thanks. I guess what we're looking. Thanks a lot for the observation. I guess what we're looking at here again as policy, a challenge that's brought on by the absence of policy to guide the way we treat our seniors.
Well, that in itself
If
is
it's
a
in
policy,
fact that that's the
policy
case,
of
but
government.
have you ever? Is that a regular concern that you've heard of?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. If I can explain, through the Ministry of Health, government provides a free medication program for some medication.
Okay.
So persons who are 60 years and over are entitled to that facility. However, since it's a program for persons who are unable, who have limited means, then that program will not cater to you if you are able to pay to see a private doctor. That is my understanding of it. So once you go to the health center and you see the district medical officer, you can have your prescription filled. But if you are able to pay for a private doctor, then that program is not, that free medication assistance is not provided for you.
I guess that's where the anomalies comes in, because a person being able to pay a private doctor may not necessarily mean that financially they're able. It could be some family member that is coming forward, and very often, the challenge, maybe I don't have time to go with you and spend 2 hours in a public clinic, but certainly it's easier for me to drop you off by the doctor. I made the sacrifice, pay whatever it is, and you move on. But again, as you said, it all comes down to the absence of policies that's coming with some of these restrictions.
Yeah, so as I said, that's my understanding of it, but I guess the Ministry of Health to be in a better position to explain why they have that policy.
It will probably be something I think that we can collectively look at. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Yes, good morning.
Yes.
As I understand it, apparently the standard is in a home, 1 caregiver to 6 patients. I think that is unacceptable. It is impossible to care for one person to be responsible for 6 elders at a time. And I understand that is what has been mandated by the desk of the elderly, or maybe the ministry. I think that should be revised. Also, I do agree that caregivers must be required to have some sort of certificate. People seem to think caregiving for the elders is like going to do a housekeeping job. It's not going to just sweep and mop and things like that. There are some skills. You have to have empathy. You have to understand that some of the elderly, they have mental issues with they're moody, they have their brain function differently. So you have to have people who know about patience, empathy, apart from actually being able to know how to look after them. So caregivers could not just pop up. It's not like going to do a housekeeping job. We really need to make sure that the caregivers have a quality of some sort of certificate. And families really need to protect their elders. Do not leave the caregivers in charge of everything. There is a lot of elder abuse that happens when elderly are left unattended in 100% care of the caregivers, from financial abuse to physical abuse to emotional and psychological abuse. A lot of abuse happens in the hands of caregivers. So it's something that we need to look into very carefully, the quality of care that our caregivers are giving. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, caller. Your thoughts?
So just a correction, the draft national standards for the operation of geriatric homes proposes that there are five residents to 1 caregiver and not 6 to 1.
Is that a shift, a change from the...
No, that's based on my knowledge. That's the international standard.
Okay,
for care.
And you follow that international standard.
Yes.
Okay, but 5 to 1. Mm-hmm. Has that worked? Has that been able to deliver I mean, the international standards, I mean, what may work in different, in other arenas where they may probably have more advanced stuff, monitoring devices and all of this sort of stuff, it may probably be practical.
Yeah.
But in our case, do we have an issue of resource?
Well, no, you have to consider as well that you may have 5 residents that you're responsible for, but all of those 5 residents are not necessarily bedridden and challenged in a way that they are unable to do certain activities for themselves. So you may have 1 or 2 or maybe 3 who are bedridden and you have to do certain things, and you may have 2 who are up and about and can go to the bathroom, feed themselves, etc. So it again, it depends on the dynamics and how the homes are able to assess the requirements, what is required for the care of residents. But that's what's proposed.
I've heard some harrowing tales coming out of the Richmond home in terms of staffing, and my investigation have revealed that staffing seems to be one of the major challenge, and that is in fact a government institution.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't speak to what you may have heard, but maybe what we need to do maybe is to encourage more persons to get involved in geriatric care.
But what sort of role, supervisory role, does the desk of the elderly, does the Richmond home, is that part of your direct purview?
Yes, so we do assessment. Richmond home falls under the Ministry of Health, but we do assessments of the home. I am not aware of staffing issues. We have not done one for the year, so I cannot speak for this period, but we have not had any issues with staffing or seen any staffing issues in previous assessments.
Well, I'm not sure when the last assessment showed. I probably suggest you should look into it. Staffing is in fact, okay. And you even hear challenges, of course, regarding, because in the last we've had a challenge with the heat wave, and even that I understand has been a challenge for the residents there.
Well, I would assume that it has been a challenge for residents in all geriatric homes, because we all were suffering from during that heat period.
But you would think they'll be given priority.
But you remember that is not something that we plan for. So, as most persons were able to do, a lot of persons were able to run out and get a AC unit. I'm not sure how feasible that was for geriatric homes, because we also have to consider as well, while the Richmond home may be a government home, most of these facilities are operating at a loss. So financially, it's challenging for them to have a lot of resources that is required.
Yes, I agree to you, and I wouldn't. And everyone's probably way above your pay grade, but certainly, I think it only shows. I mean, that's just yet another reflection of where we're not. What is it we're not doing? Because in any circumstances, whether or not, whatever the mitigating instances are, immediate, whether or not we didn't plan or not plan for, some contingency measures should be put in place. I mean, everybody else wants a fan and this and that and that. Our senior citizens, in some way, form, and fashion, must and should be given some form of priority. Good morning, caller. You're alive.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Wonderful, sir.
All right. Good morning to you, gentlemen. There's a question I want to ask about the elder citizen, and I think it should go right around the board. If an elder in the young days, make an investment for when they get in age as when you come elder citizen, it's not right that she should get back the fund or get the money whensoever that the time comes for them to get something back as an elder citizen who invests for the future. I would like to know that, because there is some people in this place who takes people money and says that investment, and they encourage you to invest, and they don't refund back you anything from the investment, and you get old, and they still do giving you, but they turn in big shot on you. It is fair to the elder citizen, and a lot of Grenadians is in this thing, right? Because look at it, in cable and wireless and electricity, them two people, right? And this share will sell out through the past government, and nobody in Grenada will get in. A lot of Grenadians don't get nothing, right? And then they're talking about elder citizens and have the young people disrespecting people, right? And this could never be right? While we're preaching one thing, we're disrespecting on one side, because the people in authority don't pay no heed to the elder, because the money tie up with them and they don't give them nothing. And them to give them something, they still find it a problem. Because you can't get a free meditation, you can't go to the doctor to get free attendance, you can't get free meditation. They always do have. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir. 435-2041, that's the number that is on the inside. It is just about 16 minutes on to the hour of 10 o'clock. In case you're just joining me, my guest this morning from the representative desk of the elderly is Chikarl, Courtney. We go back to the telephone lines. Good morning, caller. You are live.
Mr. JC, good morning, and how you doing?
I'm wonderful as always, thank you.
Right. There's different form of abuse. And you don't have to be walking with a cane for people to realize you're a senior citizen, okay? But it gets to me when a lot of us enter the bus terminus when we come out and do our little shopping. People who walk inside there, how they call them, bus warden. Some of them begging you to buy a meal for them, and they walk in and they get in a monthly salary. They see you get off whatever the shuttle, and they wouldn't say, well, let me help you carry your bag across to whichever bus you go in. But as soon as you get there, they confront you. I want a $5. Buy a lunch for me now. And that have to stop, Mr. Cadore, because they walk in and they get in a good salary. They get in their uniform. They get in everything. So what this is all about? And another thing is all the sidewalk in Grenada is blocked up. A lot of people, we cannot walk. A lot of us cannot walk in town. Every sidewalk of table, chair, umbrella, and everything. What is the administration doing about that? People have to move around. People have to do things. Especially senior citizens, it would take them some time to get from point A to point B. You can't walk in the road, because that's where the buses and the cars have to pass. Why not do something to help people to move along in town? As people get old, they're supposed to stay home and just die inside the house. A lot of us reach an age where we can still do things for ourselves, but we need the avenue. We need place to walk. We need place to move around. And I'm asking this administration, let the police and them do their work and clear up the sidewalk. Have a good day and a good weekend.
Thank you. All the best to you. 435-2041. So, a lot of, you raise some issues there, and that doesn't just pose a challenge to the elderly. It's literally impossible. Those, for me, I find it almost impossible to navigate my way through St. George. So could you possibly imagine a senior person, the challenge that they would find? I guess regrettably, the police isn't here because it would have been, and the reality is that the sidewalk, vending on the sidewalk, the last time I inquired, it was illegal.
It's illegal.
And I've asked it a million times. Why is it allowed to persist? I don't know. I asked some vendors recently, and the lady said to me, as I expected, well, JC, I had to hustle. I just smiled, because while I understand her position, you can't be openly breaking the law and then creating another challenge for others. But it's another conversation. Yeah. We go back to the telephone lines. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning. Your guest corrected the ratio of caregivers to elders, and he said instead of 6, it was 5-1. 5-1 is still problematic because he's assuming that not all will be bedridden. You don't know what your 5 will have. You may have all 5 bedridden. You may have some with dementia who will run away. So you can't assume 5-1 is okay because only 2 may be bedridden and the 3 have all their senses. I found that his explanation was erroneous and problematic. You have to have a ratio that is workable, reasonable, and pragmatic. You cannot assume all of them will not be bedridden. All of them could be bedridden. Some are trying to run away. Some need help. Some need, 5-1 is not an appropriate ratio. We need to fix that. Thank you very much.
What do you recommend, caller?
Any recommendations, caller? Caller? Probably we've lost the caller. But just to clear the air on it, the point that what you established was that as it is, and I think we sort of intimated that. I intimated that with you, that it may have to change, and we all require that. But as I said, in the absence of the policy. The policy would guide how one is treated. Because, for instance, you may probably have, let's say if you have 5 elderly persons, seniors that are not bedridden, and they have some mobility, they might be fine. You may have others who may have mental, physical challenges, and you will realize that they may need individualized treatment. So certainly, I'm hoping that the policy, its implementation is speeded up, and that we can address some of those really, really dire concerns that the public is raising. We go back to the telephone lines, 10 minutes to the hour. 10 to the hour. Good morning, caller. You alive?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
I'm calling on behalf of myself because I live alone. I'm an elderly too. I have 87 years, not too long, July contest year. And I try my best to do what I have to. I have no one to do for me. I try and do everything I have to do. I go to town with my walking stick. If I don't walk with a stick, I will fall. So that hold me up by God by my side. So I look forward to see that the government sends someone wrong. People look at the people home, where they live, what it looks like, if they need help. If you see the surrounding where I live, like I live in a dungeon, bushes, the ravine in the bottom, when the rain falls, the water not coming up, but it's full of bush. All around me is I surrounded with bush. I have no one to help me, to do anything for me. I do it on my own. I have family, but I haven't got children. So I can't say my child going to do this for me, I don't want to help me. I live by government and NIS, and I need help. And I think someone should go around, even the Tempe area, nobody don't come around these places. I don't know what is happening, what is going on in Godwall. Because they're promising you help, and they wouldn't come and give you the help you need. I live in a home, I need help. I do everything on my own. I cook my own food, I do my baking, I do everything with my years that I give me. Because God made me strong, because He did not give me children. So I do everything on my own until God called me from this life. Once I have the breath of life and the strength, I help myself. And the help I give to myself, I need help too. I had to do things I have nobody in there to do. When the day come, I alone here. Okay. When night come, I alone. I don't know what will happen, so I take it to the Lord and pray. And I'm a child of God, and I live in for God. He's the only help I have is Jesus Christ, our Lord. He's helping everyone to turn to God and pray and ask His blessing and forgiveness and to help them with their needs when they need help. God bless everyone, elderly like myself, and I pray that God we get the help that we need from those who are strong and healthy, and they could help someone in need. God bless.
Okay, thank you, caller. And we hinted at Courtney quite early, that absence of community spirit.
Yes.
Years ago, I mean, once you were aware that this person had a challenge, the community would come together. But the desk of the elderly, because you seem to have already, you would know exactly who those persons are, especially those who part of the government program. Is visitation part of the agenda?
Well, you have to also remember that we have 118,000 persons living in Grenada, speaking generally here. So as a ministry providing services, it's generally limited to what is referred to us. So we don't have enough man.
I was referring specifically to the elderly.
So I'm bringing it home now. So we don't have enough manpower to visit every older person in the state of Grenada. What we rely on is referrals. And when we respond to referrals, if we notice other cases, then we respond as well. So if somebody is living in a community and they see an older person who is requiring services of the ministry, it is incumbent on them to refer that person to the ministry. Oftentimes, it doesn't happen. Something may happen to the older person, and you may hear somebody say, well, long that happening to Mr. how they call him? But what did you do during that period to assist him?
I would agree that the challenge that faces us, it requires an all-encompassing solution. Government, the general populace as it is, that sense of care for each other.
So before you go to the next caller, what I would say to the last caller is please reach out to us. Our number is 440-6037. You can call us and give us your information, and we can assist or refer you as best possible.
We go back to the telephone lines. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. You see, I'm laughing.
My dear sir,
I know why I'm laughing.
My dear sir, is it possible you can turn on the device in the background, please? Hello? 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 Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Are you listening to me?
Yes, I'm
Because no device on now.
So I'm not sure why you
No
think I'm not.
device is on.
Yes, go ahead, please, sir.
Are you listening to me, sir? Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead, please. But again, sir, I'm listening to you, but you're not listening to me. Maybe you hear me, but not listening. I'm asking you to turn down the device into the background. And I know you follow the program. You're on all the time. You know the challenge of the feedback when you have these devices that is on. So I'm still with you. I'm going to give you an opportunity to sort that out so we can maintain a quality broadcast. Yes, sir. You still there?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Something will sort out, either at your end or at my end. Anyhow, most people, whether old or youth, are talking about abuse. The youth have a tendency to feel that they've been abused and maybe the elderly are not been abused. In other words, the youth do not abuse the elderly. As soon as you talk to them, you abuse them. The concept of abuse might be narrower than even the ageable people. Anyhow, if I were to continue, I look at even going to the doctor. Ageable people do not wish or want to go to the doctor because when you go to the doctor, you have to stay along to the health centers where the doctors attend. You have to stay there 4 or 5 hours. And you might not even get attendance because the doctor would go at certain times, and even the nurses, or some of them, I don't know if it's a minority or a majority, they would have a tendency to abuse even the old people or the age or the senior citizens. Because some of them, I didn't say all, they have been trained, but they do not pass on the training as how to deal with people.
Okay.
Not only the nurses, some doctors too, especially when they're in the health centers, they have a tendency to be vicious because they know they have a large number and perhaps they have not properly compensated for doing so much work.
Okay.
So people are finding problem in going to in this thing for the health centers. I myself, I'm alive and kicking, but still I'm an aged citizen. And I prefer to go to the private doctors because they attend you fairly all right because you are paying them the money. But those who are not getting money from the private citizens, they do not want to attend you fully. I don't even know what that means.
Okay, sir.
So you have problem even getting medicine. Even you as a senior citizen, when you get a prescription, you still have to go and buy it in the pharmacy.
Okay.
So this is what I find so strange in Grenada. The people are talking about senior citizens, and they are not giving them the lip service, giving them the practical service as they're giving them the lip service.
Thanks for the contribution, sir.
I have listened to this, mister.
Yes, sir? I was just saying thank you for the contribution. 425-2041. We leave that conversation that we almost we out of time. And my dear friend, I know when you see me, you and I are going to have that conversation, and I'll probably tell you why you waited so long for you to call me, and you know you have all those concerns. But we're going to discuss them when we see each other. Courtney, I'm just going to give you a few minutes just to wrap up.
Okay, so thank you for having me here. And just by way of information, as you said it earlier, this is the month of older persons in Grenada, October, and we have some activities that have started and to come. Two in particular that I would like to highlight is a public forum that we have for older people that will be held at the St. John's Anglican Primary School on October 18th. time 5:30 p.m. and that public forum will speak to digitization of the world around you, and it will be presented or facilitated by Mr. Jovis Dabrio from the cybersecurity organization. We also have another one on October 23rd at the St. Paul's Community Center, and that will be touching on dementia and mental health, starting at 6 p.m. So we're asking persons in these areas, to older persons in particular, to come out and support and to listen and to share as well.
So the last one on dementia as well?
St. Paul's Community Center, October 23rd, starts at 6 p.m.
Starts at 6 p.m. Well, Mr. Courtney, thanks for being part of the conversation. You want to say, really say, I mean, that these are the sort of conversations that we need to have more of, enlightening the public and sharing of what, of course, is a timely conversation as it relates to the care and treatment of our senior citizens. Well, this is as far as I can take you today to the point. Tomorrow, I'm expecting, of course, to have Dr. Wendy Crawford. She's going to be in studio with me. We talking about the plans for the National Celebrations Committee as you look forward to celebrating the 50th anniversary of our independence. Until then, so long everybody. Thanks to our listeners, all of our viewers, wherever you are. Have a great one. Until